Hug Me Please was made for the game jam Ludum Dare 33. Together with a friend of mine, we created a game around the theme You Are the Monster. The game was a great practice for game feel for me, and I'd like to dedicate this episode to talking about the feel of games. There are some great resources out there to learn about the feel of games. For example, Vlambeer's The Art of Screen Shake, or Juice It or Lose It. Both of these videos are great and I highly recommend you watch them. They're both entertaining and they will teach you a great deal about how to make your games feel better, with just a few tiny tricks. So let's look at what I did to make my game a bit more juicy. To start, let's strip away everything that adds juice to the game. There. Now we basically have the same game, but without all this pesky game feel. Looks kinda bland, doesn't it? Well, let's start by adding some animations to the scene. There, that's much better. Now it actually looks like we're moving, and the people look much more alive. They actually look like they're running away from you, which is exactly what we wanted. But there's still something wrong. Civilians don't just stand around all day waiting for a monster to chase them. They should be actually wandering about. Now, this might seem difficult, but there's actually a really simple way to do it, and it makes a huge difference. You just start by making your civilians walk at a constant speed in a straight line. Then every frame, slightly alter the direction they're moving by a few degrees, and if you do that, it'll actually look like they're wandering around randomly. Even though this is very easy to implement, it makes the scene look much more alive already. It actually looks like a realistic crowd of people now. Well, sort of. It's still kinda strange that everybody's looking in the same direction. So let's fix that and make them face in random directions. Now there's a bit more variation between the civilians, and with these few changes, the game, or at least the groups of people, look much better already. So let's start tweaking our player next. The animation made him look much more alive, but I didn't really like the way he turned around. The instant flipping of the character was, well, kinda boring. So I made him turn around like a paper cutout. A minor tweak, but I thought it looked a bit more alive than simply flipping the sprite. Next we're gonna improve the way our scream looks. Let's start by giving our speech bubble a little animation. And to give it a bit more flair, let's add some sort of expanding circle as sort of a sound wave. Now there's actually some power behind our scream. The next change we're gonna do is very subtle and once again pretty simple. But I feel it makes the game feel less stiff. I'm gonna add a slight delay to the camera. Instead of statically seeing the player in the center of the screen, the camera actually follows the player. This is something I pretty much always do because it's such a simple adjustment and it really does make the game look more fluent. And now, one of the most popular and powerful things you can do with your camera. Camera shake! Sorry about that. Want to give our scream some more juice? Just add some camera shake. Does trampling these buildings not feel powerful enough to you? Camera shake is your solution. Just remember, whenever something needs more impact or feel to it, just adding some camera shake can really help you out. So already the movement and environment feel much more lively than before. But scoring points still feels pretty bland and unrewarding. So let's try to fix that. Let's start by adding a little animation to the text and making it change color to make it a bit more flashy. This score counter is pretty boring this way. Let's make it a bit more lively by letting it count up instead of just adding the score instantly. Okay, well, this looks much better already. But we need it to feel a bit more rewarding. We need to add some more feel or impact to the score. What could we possibly add to make scoring points feel even better? That's much better. But why stop here? Let's add even more flair. We need some particle effects. Let's give it some sparks every time you score points. And while we're at it, why not add some more particle effects? Let's add some hearts to our scream. And why not let the tanks explode? And let's add one little particle effect for whenever one of the humans walks into a hazard. Now we're almost done. We'll add just one more crucial thing, which will add that last bit of juice to our game. Sound. You can easily use sound effects to add more impact to your actions. For example, stomping buildings? Done. Using your scream? Much better. Shooting bullets? Well, it's better, but it doesn't sound quite right. Hearing that same sound hundreds of times is kind of annoying actually. An easy fix for this is just randomly changing the pitch of the sound you're playing. If a sound is played many times in a row, just remember that changing the pitch randomly can keep it from sounding too repetitive. I use this same technique for the sound effects of scoring points, simply because it makes bursts of the same sound much more satisfying to listen to. Now we just add some fitting music and we're done. These are the techniques I use to make my game more enjoyable. What exactly makes a game feel good is still hard to say, but I just wanted to show you some of the things I did to improve the feel of my game. As you can see, it can be just a combination of very simple things, which when put together, greatly improve the experience of your game. I hope I could teach you a few things about game feel, and if you have any more tips or resources about game feel, just leave it in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.